use any concrete material anymore. Flowers and garden is used for material. So town planning, best. And show me a nation, I'll show you the nation that has planned well. In our Nigerian nation, we have failed to plan, but not as we plan to fail. If a nation has failed to plan, such nation will never do well. But if a nation really plan, the success will be their story. The question one might ask, do we really need planning? And how does it come to the issue of lives? We need planning, and when you don't plan, the resultant effect is failure. So town planners and town planning is the way to go. But I look at the team, land use, planning, and national security, and I'm sure this lecturer must have done justice to this topic. Yes. Our poverty in Nigeria is an apparent poverty which does not reflect any practical realities. It is like a trend, a fast-moving trend that has a child in it. And the child looks out and sees the trees running, not knowing that he is the one running actually in the trend. This is Nigerian nation. That's why it is called the apparent movement and apparent poverty of our nation. We are told in our elementary geography that the sun rises from the east and sets in the west. When the actual sense, the sun does not rise, the sun does not set, it is the earth that rises and sets in the course of rotation and revolution of the earth. So I do not agree with anybody that our nation is a poor nation, but indeed, our inability to plan, these are the leadership vision as the responsibility for the failure in our nation, which I still consider aberrant. Why should a nation so blessed with God, with such an arable land, to still be called a one nation? And why should a nation with such sweet crude petroleum be called a poor nation? And why should Nigeria, with this younger generation, so many youths, educated youths, be called a poor nation? Something definitely is wrong. We are not poor, but the management of our resources is poor. It is the management of the resources of Nigeria which has failed, that has brought about the failure in Nigeria when people say Nigeria is a poor nation. Nigeria is not a poor nation. It is the management of the resources of Nigeria that is poor, because planners and plan programs are not implemented. Now, you might agree with me that on the issue of planning, there's something I tried to do with the Commissioner for Land when he was a commissioner. And I said to them, if a man has land and a nation has land, such land nation is a rich nation. Today, we have a program in Imo State, which we are adopting gradually, to raise over 20 billion naira just from land. How do we want to do that? We simply want to make sure that we give values to every land in Imo State. How do you give value to land? It's simply by planning a certificate of occupancy. So why can we remain poor? Why should our farmers be poor? Why should we have people in the villages hungry when they have land? And this land is capital. You know, in the study of elementary economics, there are two types of capital. For economics, land is also a capital, which is wealth set aside for the production of other wealth. While to an accountant, capital means the first cash with which you start a business. But I tend to agree with an economist point of view of capital, that land is wealth set aside for production of other wealth. Now, we see Dubai. We hear Dubai. Dubai has no oil. Dubai has nothing, no arable land. It's desert. But today, Dubai is perhaps one of the celebrated cities in the world. While Nigeria, with arable land, with beautiful everything, it still cannot be called a great nation. It's only in Nigeria that after 10 years or 20 years of an old roof, you see grasses growing on top of the house. It doesn't happen anywhere, which means that our soil is not only fertile, even the atmosphere of Nigeria is fertile. So, in common sense, it means that if you can only plant yam on top of the roof, it will grow. If you can plant rice on top of the roof, it will grow. Because if the grasses can grow on top of the roof, yam can also grow on top of the roof. But why are we so poor? Well, look at Dubai. Dubai has not just desert. But today it sees sky-filled pass and everything. What did Dubai do? Dubai simply had wonderful planners who knows how to convert the potentials of the land into kinetic resources. And I share for some of you who are planners today to go home and think about this. What if you go to a village now and get 1 hectare of land for a community, and the government signs the CFO to that land which is located in the rural areas? The moment that CFO is given to that land, the value of that land begins to change. That document becomes a connectivity of wealth set aside for the production of further wealth. If you take the CFO to the bank now can have the value for that particular property, and might give the owner of that land 1 million naira, which he can now start his business without the bank taking the physical land. That's the bank. But yet, we are poor for lack of knowledge. That's what the Bible says, where there's no vision, my people perish. It didn't say where there's no cash. So money and cash is an infinitesimal part of development. But planning and vision is everything. So I wish the planners can come up with this document at the end of this and come up with policy statements on land, where every land belonging to any rural person should be given certificate of governance, so that they can get value for their land. To enable the bigger farmers go to bank and access some kind of small loan. See what Dubai did. Dubai had a piece of land and drew a beautiful architectural master plan, again planning commission. Some was a 3-city near the water. They developed a certificate of governance and advertised to the whole world. Even they had Nigerian boys and girls walking around the offices selling the land on planning for 50 million naira paper. And we were so foolish to be buying paper for 50 million naira, courtesy of planners. And when we got that land, some of us were happy to own the last floor, 3rd floor, 5th floor, that is not yet being constructed. After they collect all this money from us, then they go back and start the project. That is bad. That is why we call it in Nigeria that the act of Iberiberism is too much. I'm sorry for those of you who did not go to my school. Iberiberism is an Igbo language which connotes foolishness. So I challenge you, the planners, that you should wake up to your responsibilities. You have a lot to do. In Imo State, we are trying to set an example. Imo State is not one of the states that has a lot of resources, unquote. Comparatively, what I collect as a governor is 10% of what some states collect. Akwa Ibom, Rivers, Lagos. So where I collect 4 billion naira, some states collect 40 billion, so 10%. But I declare that Imo State is the richest state in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And people ask me why. I say it's not in the cash, but it's in the vision. Today in the Law Palace, we say the system will pay to fast this myself. If you go around in Imo State, you see huge differences. Even the way you're driving from this Concord Road coming here has never been, that was not Imo State before 2 years ago. all that you see, the Hero Square, those blue houses, the Ikembo Juku Center, and everything is brand new within 2 years. If you plan well, you get it right. So it's not about money. Or if you tell Nigerians, they say they have no money, okay, there's no money. Money is inconsequential. Vision is all important. And for those of you who are Christians, go back to Genesis chapter 1, verse 1. When God made darkness and there was no light anywhere, and the earth was that shape or form, and the Spirit of the Lord was hovering around the waters. But God saw darkness. He said, let there be light. And there was light. When he said, let there be light, there was light. There was no matches, no kerosene in the hand of God. So vision and planning is all important. I want to urge all of you today, as Nigerians, never to go back with this self-pity that our nation is poor and nothing is working. Because only in Nigeria you see some young men walking around and say they have no job. How can you say there's no job? And federal government is cracking their head, you to get job and employment and no employment. Who is supposed to employ who? Our nation is too rich that entrepreneurship should take on the order of the day, where men can now become managers of themselves. It's possible. It's if only you have visionary leaders who can direct them on what to do. So, planners, as you're in Imo State, I charge you to come up with a policy for government on how we can move this nation forward through planning and land use. For your president, I worked briefly with him and I was quite impressed. And the commissioner, which, if you see the city now, Imo State is looking to Nigeria elections. I'm not saying this because I'm the governor, but there's a new Imo State looking better. Imo is looking better, Nigeria will look better. But it wasn't without planning and the town planners. So every night we stay awake, trying to make sure we fix things to work. And by the time you plan well, you cut down costs of execution. Yes. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me not bore you because I have other places to go this hour. Going to Anambra because Gike, I want to make sure Gike wins as the governor. And I know all of you know that I'm in the APC. Yes. I'm an unrepentant member of APC. I have discussed with your president. He has said to me that you're in the state and that you have a culture of tradition. We'll support him and we'll support the association.
Thank you.
I'll let Uche have that aspect with you because I've stopped making public financial donations. Because I could hardly separate Rochas Okorocha before governor and Rochas Okorocha as governor. When I was before governor, I was a wealthy man, so blessed by God. And nobody should jealous me. I'm a very wealthy man. So I can afford to make donations because I'm blessed. That's why I could afford to train poor children, thousands of them. But now as a governor, I'm told I can't speak money anymore. I can't make donations. But all the same, I will allow Uche, the commissioner, to say something to his colleagues when I must have left here to show support of what we can do. And I wish you can host them to Gala night and make sure you relax, please enjoy yourself.
Wow.
And for those of you who don't have plans of going back, please stay here. Let me at this juncture, to the glory of God, declare open the Nigerian Institute of Town Planners 44th Annual Conference. I hereby declare this conference open.